Well, look at that. We're gone a week and we've already messed up, right? We're gone a week and we've already messed up. So it is another like I said, I've been out of practice. I haven't been live at all on any of my pages in a week, and I feel like I'm a little rusty. But anyways, guys, it is another episode of MillenniYell with Billy and Mel. So look, I didn't forget that one, right? So we're still good there. But guys, we're super excited to have you with us today. We're going to be talking about, one of those things that you're really not supposed to talk about, right? There's a couple different things, and what we're going to specifically talk about is money, right? Is money the root of all evil? Why we don't talk about it more? Why we probably should talk about it a little bit more, especially with the situations that we're in. But guys, before we get into all of that, like I said, make sure if you're in the chat room with us, you're commenting. Look at that, we made it to Friday, Brandon.
Yes.
And if so we're here. It's Friday, so we're good to go. But like I said, if you're in the comment section, just let us know. We'd love to give you guys a shout out. And if you're going to be jumping on the replay, do the exact same thing. But Mel, it's been like 2 weeks.
It has
almost, like, right? It's been at least 2 weeks since we went live, since we've had a chat. So how are you doing? What is going on?
It went so well with Brandon that we had to take a break. We couldn't compete. It's been great. No, I've been busy, really good. I'm loving the weather. I got on my allergy pills and nasal spray. Everybody who's going through allergies, I think I talked about that. Xyzal and Flonase, baby, get on it. It's been great. But yeah, I'm getting ready for the brunch that I'm hosting. I'm in honor of my sister for Memorial Day weekend, and been just working hard. Yeah. What about you?
It's been crazy. Like, it's just the last 2 weeks, really. I mean, ever since Brandon came on, it's just been crazy. So I don't know if he just got us more notoriety or what, or if,
we're on fire.
So, but no, it's been good. It's been busy. Megan's off of, she's a teacher, so she's not teaching anymore because it's the summertime. So, she's right now, I'm watching her. She's tending to the chickens and stuff like that. So she's just relaxing. So, and then at the end, actually next week, we'll be going to the beach. So we're really excited about that. And then actually the Friday after that, we'll be in Nashville. So I might be doing my live with you straight from Nashville. I'm going to be there for a friend's wedding. So I'm super excited about that.
I am so jealous. I have wanted to go to Nashville for so long, and my best friends were just there too. So it is on my list. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nashville's amazing.
Excited for you.
Yeah, so it's a jam-packed month, and so we definitely wanted to come on here and talk to you guys.
Well, the weekend after that, because that's Memorial Day weekend, that you'll be going. So the weekend after that, I'll be going to a bachelorette party in the Finger Lakes, which I've never been. So I'm excited for that. So
that's gonna be super fun. That's gonna be super fun, and so it's crazy. We're traveling again, right? Like,
I love it.
So. It's crazy. It's just crazy the times. So maybe, hopefully, now that some of those things are getting lifted, right, we'll be able to maybe, do a couple of site places. So we've got some stuff planned, for you guys. So, but anyways, without further ado, let's talk about it, right? This is a really interesting subject for me just because of what I do.
Right.
Right. And so I definitely love this topic. And the reason this spurred up, I actually did a Facebook Live on this on my personal page, talking about this, and there's an article that millennials are more.
We've coined millennials.
Yes, so we're for now forever millennials. But millennials are more in tune with their finances and more willing to talk about it than previous generations, right? And I found that very interesting, especially for most of us as millennials, right? We're in not a bad situation. I don't want to say a terrible situation, but with student loan debt and stuff like that. So, like, what are your thoughts on that? As just from a generational standpoint, do you feel that's the case, that we talk about it more than other generations?
Did I mute myself, by the way, or can you hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Oh God, Brandon, I need help, Brandon, with my mic. No, I'm pushing buttons. I absolutely think that it's not talked about as much as other generations. I think it just is different different places in our lives that it's okay to talk about in certain ways. I just had this conversation too, which is funny, about someone that was talking about somebody else that was throwing all of this money, like as a, oh, I know this person that makes all this money, and I know this person with, and it was in a sense maybe not insecurity, but I think just kind of trying to make themselves look better because it was something about money, it was knowing people that had a lot of money or something. But yeah, I think that it's not as it's thrown around like that in a sense, but I don't think it's talked about at all in the relationship with money that we each have, and the security, the insecurity, and how it affects us all, because it affects relationships, it affects us internally, it affects our job, everything. If you're not having a good relationship with money, which I haven't, and I love that we could talk about this because I've been in a bad spot, obviously, 5-6 years ago after my divorce. But I think that there's a stigma about talking about it, absolutely, because there is some negative things that have affected us with it. And I think that a lot of people think that it's going to make us happier, and we can talk all about that too. So, I think if we talked about it a little bit, but it is something that that isn't talked about, also should be in relationships before things get also a little bit serious. And you can talk all about that because that's what you focus on too.
Yeah, I think the big thing that people, like, some of the reasons I feel like people don't talk about money, especially like older generations, like you said, a lot of it's just like, a lot of people kept things close to the vest and were reserved in those aspects. And, a lot of what they learned was from what their parents taught them, right? You didn't learn, you didn't talk about money. But like, I feel like for our generation, we're such in a weird situation when it comes to debt versus coming to saving for retirement, to coming to just saving for a home, like buying home. I think millennials are, and I don't have the exact stat number, but, buy less houses than other generations just because we can't. We have less children because we're in a situation financially where we can't support a child, right? And so I think, some of the reasons that I run into, and I know personally, and I definitely want to share my story with money, because I think a lot of what happens in your childhood definitely plays into how you view money, right?
Absolutely.
Like for me, and I don't mind admitting this, just because this is this type of show, right? We yell about things, and so I remember I come from a divorced family, right? My mom and dad got divorced, and the major issue, right, that now it wasn't the leading cause of the divorce, right, or in most divorces, but it's definitely the starting point. I think it's one of the starting points. If you can't trust somebody with money, especially in a relationship standing, you can't trust them in a lot of other areas of life, right? And so, for me personally, I am the saver. I'm always thinking we're going to run out of money, right? I always that's just the thought. That's my fear. And it was because of seeing my parents argue about money, right? And so that led to me to my issues with money, is always thinking I'm going to run out, right? And so if I'm always going to run out, I always need to be going to get money, and that can be a slippery slope.
Yeah, and I think it's like we said, we try to do the opposite, or if there's trauma or if there's bad experiences and it caused issues like that, you don't want that, so you try to do the opposite. But I think that there's a balance. We've talked about different things with balance, but absolutely, I've heard so many stories too about people that are well beyond your idea of saving and being safe to an obsession where it's all about money, and it's also becomes more of a greed in a sense, and that's not where, obviously where you're at, but I think that it can get to an extreme based on how you can get over that and deal with that situation. But I mean, I think with me, my mom's single mom, she did well. She was able to provide for us and, take care of us, and wanted to provide for what a double income would have been. And I think that I've starting my business, and I've wanted to, my idea of success or with money, I find that, money can't bring you happiness. And we've talked about that too. But even with the stuff that I'm doing with 10X and with Grant Cardone, he always says people who say money can't buy happiness don't have money, don't have what, and it goes back to that financial freedom, which is the happiness, is the freedom. And you and I have talked about that. And I think, that has an important factor, but the issues with relationships, and I think it's stress. So much of relationship stress is finances, and it's whether it's just one person or both. And, there's a huge, I've seen it with my family, with my parents, and me, my relationships, the relationships before that carried into my relationships. You carry things in too, that it is such a stress. It is such a weight that, when and where I'm at right now on my journey, and where I'm going is absolutely having that financial independence and security and freedom, to not have any of those things that we've talked about. Sure. And carry them into my relationship and children and that. Yeah.
So yeah, Brandon brought up a good point here. There's no such thing as good debt. I think as a generation we were lied to, and I totally agree. There's that saying. That's an old saying there that even your home's not a good debt, and it's like, well, it's an asset. It's going to appreciate over time. But you brought up a good point, and I want to touch base on it, like greedy versus safety. And like going back to like, yes, money can't, there's that saying, money can't buy you happiness. But I think it gives you options, right? And so
it makes things easier.
It makes things easier. Like, yes.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with Grant. Like if you have that limited mindset where like, oh, well, those people don't have money, so they don't know. It's like, yeah, well, you don't know because you're stressed out that you don't have money, right? Because you're always looking for more. And so, I think, something that I feel really passionate about is that I don't think money changes people. I think money just makes you, like, when you have a lot of money, if you're already a douchebag, right, you're just going to be more of a douchebag.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna, if you're a generally nice person, right, and you want to make an impact and do nice things for people, you now have a bigger platform. You now have a bigger tool to help a lot more people. So I don't necessarily think that money changes people. I think money just makes you more of who you are already.
Absolutely. I agree. I absolutely agree. I have a few examples of people, in my past, in my life, that absolutely all they cared about was money, and, and then in a position, where they got it. And, I don't know them. Obviously I separated from that situation, but it's sad that I like the idea of it being a driving force for success and taking care of your, yourself, your family, your future, giving back. I like it to be that drive, absolutely, to want to work harder. And, even with what, with what a lot of Grant Cardone says too, is like, he's making all this money, but he wants to make more. Yeah. It is wanting to make more. I think it's just so that you can help more. It's not necessarily for yourself. And when it becomes that greed of that selfish feeling, then it's almost like what you'll do and hurt and don't care about people in the process. And I think that it is a process that when you're doing it for the right reasons and for yourself and for others, and just for good, then the outcome is still good, and I think that sometimes when it's not for the right reasons, and I think that people have to extreme choose kids. Yeah, Brandon, we know a bunch of them too, but I think that if you can't figure out the issues with money, like I say, your relationship with money, that's huge because of situations in my life. I don't think that you'll ever get past that trauma, the reason why you're doing that, or the reason why those people that are so greedy and I have to make all this, like, somebody recently, a friend of mine who had some issues, in high school or in, younger ages, that the parents had lost money, whether it was a business or not. And the house went on foreclosure and it was embarrassing. It's trauma, you know? And I think that when they say, oh, I'm never going to do it, I want to help my family, or I'm going to make so much money that XYZ, but it's for those reasons. You have to get through that internal issue without having to go and make millions of dollars or billions and not care, not get through that trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And, you know, I was just thinking as you were talking, you know, yes, your previous experiences are totally in line with how you value money and how you use money. And, you know, if you're, you know, obviously I've gotten better with that, especially for what I do now. But at first, like, yeah, it was like if I would spend, like, I would think about it, like I would spend $50 and I'd be like, oh my God, like that's $50 that I was leaving my account, right? It's gone forever. I'm never going to get it back. What am I going to do? Like, what happens if this happens, and this happens, and this happens, right? All these factors have to happen, and then I'm going to be out of money. And so, but I think looking back, like I look at my first initial relationship with money was that event with my parents. And it's like the first thing is a negative experience. It's like starting a relationship with somebody, right? Like, you know, on a bad foot, right? You don't start it on, you know, something bad happens. And so it just taints that relationship.
Like a clean slate. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's just like, I think about it all the time. Like, you know, if we normalize talking about money, especially with kids and the youth and stuff like that, where it's just a normal part of the conversation, right? Where it's just normal to talk about money in a positive way, how we can use it, how we can be more effective in that manner.
And smart, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe that kid or person doesn't run into the same situations that maybe me and you.
Sure. I think a lot of it goes to, and there's no blame on our parents. I mean, yeah, blame, okay, but they didn't know any different or better. I mean, in a sense, we weren't taught all the skills. It should be, we'd say this now, it should be taught in schools, you know, balancing a checkbook, understanding credit cards. Absolutely. Brandon's right. We were, you know, lied to. I mean, we're handed these credit cards and said, here's free money, go spend it, you know, and it's not. And that's we're not in an age at 18, 19, 20 to understand the responsibility of money, really, most of us, and even with, you know, relationships, but to be given like the credit cards and all this stuff and not understand income to debt ratio and all of that is crazy. And we weren't taught it. And I think that right now, if and when the people who are teaching it to their children, like, kudos to you, because absolutely it's something that I think when people have a good relationship and they teach that and they follow, it's just like relationships and the trauma and toxicity we talked about with Brandon, generational trauma. I mean, it's really carried and passed on, and finances and money is a huge thing that is passed on when people not have good relationships. And whether it's from the parent to the child, and they just don't learn and they don't know, or even like you said with relationships, you know, my ex-husband had some issues with finances with his marriage before. And when we got married and then things came about with my business helping me, I wanted to know numbers. I needed help with the business, with getting projections, you know, things that I wanted to be able to grow and scale. And there was no interest in helping me because it dealt with finances and he had trauma before. So he didn't want anything with, you know, and that's okay. And I understood that it was hard, you know, because you want that support, but only because too, it was something that was carried, you know, that weight was carried along. And I think that when we all start to realize that absolutely affects so many other things moving forward, if we can't get past that, you know, then that just carries and continues to cause other problems with it. It's going to be a problem, you know, with anybody. It's just going to come out in different ways and different forms, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally. Like it definitely rears its ugly head in other forms and facets of the relationship, right? It like I said, I don't ever think money essentially is the end all be all to the end of a relationship, but it's definitely the building block, right? And it's because,
especially if you don't talk about it, like if you don't know.
Yeah, if you're not having a conversation about it at least on a monthly basis, right? I read a stat yesterday that, and I was doing a presentation for somebody and I was showing them, I said, you know, the average, just think about this for a second. The average couple spends for a wedding, right? If you're going to plan a wedding, spends 6 to 12 months planning a 12-hour day versus the average American couple spends 35 minutes a month planning their financial future. Right. And so it goes into that, like, if we're not having a normal conversation and normalizing money, that means whenever we do talk about it, like if we didn't talk about it, right, like especially like me and Megan, I'll give you a prime example. Like, we don't talk about it, right, or understand how I view money versus how she views money, right? It goes all back to like the love languages and stuff like that. Like understanding how somebody thinks about that dollar, right? She knows, like, if we spend over a certain amount of money, I can't stop it, right? It's just my past, and I start to freak out about the money that we're spending, right? And so she recognizes that now, and then is able to, like, mold that situation so where we can have a actual conversation about something rather than me just flipping out, her just flipping out. I think it comes down to, like, not only do we have love languages, but I feel like someone should write a money language book.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. I mean, because we didn't even talk about, I mean, there's so much about people that are this, want to save, and the people that are careful and safe and all that. And then you have the ones that are reckless and the spending. And I think that there's different times also and aspects where there's codependency issues, and that has to do with spending and money and making yourself feel better because of things,
Oh yeah, retail therapy. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I've done it, and so many people do, men and women that I know. But of
course, yeah.
But it's like filling a void. But I think that absolutely talking about it, there is so much. You're right, and thinking about it, it's almost like people are afraid to talk about it. People are scared. And I think that it's because no one's really in the place that they want to be, ultimately. And it could just be you're want to make a little bit more, or you're in a lot of debt, and no matter where you are in that spectrum, it's scary, and you're insecure, and you don't want to talk about it unless you are making millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Like, really, if you think about it, unless you are really, really financially, secure, you have that freedom, you have all this additional income and all, whatever that is. I feel like unless you have that, there's always going to be something, no matter how small it is, that you don't want to like talk about. And I think that it's like this secret, it's this hidden thing almost in relationships, that unless you're fully transparent, like you say, and you guys talk about it, and everyone knows everything on the table, there's still some type of thing that you're hiding, or there's secrets, or you don't know how the other person feels about spending, or what if one person makes more money and then the other person, is afraid to spend, or is a stay-at-home mom. I've had friends that are stay-at-home moms, and they feel they can't spend anything, they can't do anything, they have to get permission. That sucks, but that's your job. You're still making, you're saving money, and you're providing in an aspect. It's just not a paycheck coming out from somewhere. And there's so much that I think is hidden. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't want to say it's a secret or it's hidden, but it's like something that's there inside. And it's like you're carrying a weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. It's just like, yeah, I mean, people hide stuff from each other all the time, and they that should be a real life conversation before you get married, to have an understanding of where somebody's at and what you're getting into. I mean, love conquers all, I believe, but still, you should be aware of the situation and be like, okay, we're going to take this on together. And like, you brought up a really good point about, previous generations, right? You think in the 50s and 60s and even the 70s, probably into the 80s, right? A lot of women were home, and stuff like that. And so that's completely changed, just because, for the simple fact, you can't survive on a single income.
Right.
Most families can't survive on a single income anymore, unless you're independently wealthy. But, money issues come down to even between sex, right? Like, females deal with money issues completely different from what a man, what a male deals with, right? I mean, we could talk on and on about, how the wage gap is there, right? Regardless of what anybody else thinks, there's a wage gap between males and females, and that's an issue too, right? And so like you always like one person always feels like they got to compete with the other, and it just there's so many issues that stem from money that that I don't think people fully realize. A lot of people just sweep that stuff under the rug and just say, "Hey, if I don't see it, right, it doesn't exist."
Oh, sure. That's why I got into, you know, having my major debt, because I ignored it, you know, and I think that there's couples that ignore it too. I mean, at least it was just me. I was lying to myself. I wasn't lying to anybody else. I mean, yeah, I was externally lying because I was faking it, but I was lying to myself until I faced it.
Yeah. I mean, you see it on social media all the time. I mean, you weren't the only one that was, you know, faking it, right? We've all faked it. You see these Instagram posts where the people, you know, they have like, I always like going on people's social media sometimes and having a little bit of a chuckle, because you'll see like they have 1,000 followers, but they're taking plane pictures with their private jet and stuff like that. You're like, come on, you don't need to fake it, man. Somebody might be really interested in your story from you starting from zero to, you know, becoming a multimillionaire. You don't need to fake those things. And but money is such an image thing, right? Like if you don't have it and you're in business, people think like you have the plague or something like that. Like, how are you not making money, right? Like you're in business for yourself. It's like, you know, it's not all rainbows and roses, right?
Yeah. And I think here Brandon said, in my first marriage, money was often a major argument. Exactly. I mean, I think that we've seen it a lot, that fights can actually happen and be completely for some other different reason at all, that what the really fight it was about, you know? And I think that underlying issues with money and being transparent and having those conversations, I frankly, at this point, you know, at 36, obviously single, I mean, looking into, you know, the next relationship or the future, I think it would be something, you know, I would have, and I'm not saying that you can tell by someone's lifestyle, by some of the things that they have, the job that they have, who they are, you know, what they do, and like spending habits. You can see all that from the outside, but again, it could be credit cards. You never know. But you can start to see certain things. But I almost think that conversation for me I would be interested in, even in before I invested the serious relationship, let alone the engagement, let alone the marriage. You know, I mean, I think that because I've had some issues too that happened with money, I wouldn't even, obviously single, me.
That's why I chuckled.
Obviously.
I saw
obviously. They always say like, oh, if you're in your 30s and you're single, something's wrong with you. You know, what you know, what is it? No, actually, I just saw something. It was that I'm you know, I'm very picky. You know, I'm not settling. That's what it was. I'm not settling.
There you go. That's what I was gonna say. And
I'm not settling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that absolutely, you know, some of the issues that did arise in some of the situations with the relationships, even including my last one, was absolute about finances. What's hidden is also, you know, parents' involvement, or don't give in to the hater's mouth.
Wow, yeah.
So Brandon said, don't give in. I won't. But yeah, it was actually with what that situation was about, you know, not, I won't, told him I'm strong. Was more about, yeah, being independent, you know, making your own money, you know, whether it's from your parents. And look, you know, we talked about parents teaching children good ways of you know, taking care of money and all that. But what about the people who, and from some of us that didn't grow up with a lot of money, what about the people who did grow up with a lot of money and how they treat it? I mean, even when I was in high school, I knew a couple of people that, you know, the parents owned successful businesses. They were, you know, very well off, and they were irresponsible. They didn't have to work. They didn't have to, you know, get their own and learn responsibility and all that. The parents didn't really teach them on the aspect of working for money, you know, working for them for hard for it. So there's other aspects about there is money and how that relationship is, because I think that absolutely is a completely different perspective, but how do you treat it? It's not like the insecurities. It's not the trauma. It's not that, oh, I need to work so hard because I don't have it. It's there. And then there's a completely different relationship there, because it is there and you've always had it, or your parents provide it for you and you're not providing for yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is that's a
we
side
all
of
wish
things.
we could have it.
Yeah, that's the side of things that most people don't see. I mean, most people, there's a reason why, especially in a generational wealth type of deal, like where, like you think about like some businesses that are family owned, right? And they're wealthy in a sense, right? Why most businesses, family owned businesses, fail in the third generation, right? Why most generational wealth is lost at the third or fourth generation. And it's because of what you just said. They don't understand the value of money just as much as the person that doesn't have any money, right? Like but they see it from a different perspective, right? They see it from like, well, I'm always going to have money, right? This is just something that's normal, right? So it's like on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? We need to be in the middle where we respect money, we understand what money does for us as a relationship, right? But it's crazy because I think about my situation in a little bit different light than most people, just because like when my parents were together, we had a big house, like my dad was super successful, my mom was, we had money, stuff like that. Then the divorce happened, right? And I went from living in like a huge house to living, no fault to either of my parents. I love them to death. If you're both watching, I love you guys to death. Just saying, it is the experience, right? And so went into living in a trailer, right? Nothing wrong with living in a trailer, but that gave me a unique perspective on money because I know like what money can do for you, but I also know like how to be thrifty, how to make things out of nothing, right? And really take that into light. And so I'm thankful for that experience because it taught me both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's awesome. And I really think we hit on something, because I know that we usually focus on the people who are working really hard from nothing. That I've always said that I think that there's a lot more with discipline and respect and certain things, especially especially younger ages, that we've had to really work hard and do that. And I've always said that people who were handed money, they don't know the struggle. They don't know that. And I think that it has to be taught. If it's there, and they still have to go to work. And that's why I respect a lot that parents who still have their children working, even though the children don't have to work or may never have to work, or could go right into the family business. And I think that I respect that a lot more, and it's just because I think that builds so much more character in a sense than just handing something to somebody.
Growth comes from discomfort, right? Being in not a comfortable area. And like, I think I just draw back on a lot of my situation, right? Like, my mom, when I was buying my first car, I worked every summer. Like I worked 2 jobs. I saved up every dollar I had for that opportunity to buy my own car. Right. And, but like, I like what she did was, and what my parents did, my dad involved as well. Like whatever I made, they matched. Right. So it gave me the idea, right? That gave me the mindset to say, okay, if I can do this and I can, they can match that, right? I can get a better car. So let me work a little bit harder. Let me work a couple more hours. Right.
So it's like relative to your situation and their finances, they were able to still instill those, that work ethic in you, but they still were able to provide. And I think that's great, because I think that it's a healthy balance for sure. So Anthony said the definition of success has a different meaning to each person. Absolutely. And I think about that a lot. And he said, for some reason, it doesn't involve money at all. And yeah, I mean, I think that there's certain things of quality of life, of what bring, what things bring to different people. Absolutely. I always joke that it won't bring happiness. Like we said, I think that has to come within, but I think it makes things a lot easier. It makes, the traveling, the things that you do, that does cost, shit costs money, So, and I think that to people, absolutely, that thinking that money is going to make them successful. What I've learned, and it's that success brings money with it. So when you become successful in that, in how you want to be, then that brings money with it, because it's not the other way around. And I think that most of us chase money to be successful. I've done it. I did it just until, the last couple of years. I mean, I thought that, having this money, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to, it's going to make me look XYZ. And no, I was just chasing it. That's the whole reason why I haven't taken the reins and doing things on the business aspect of my business, the structure and growth and scaling and employees, is because it's this idea that money is going to somehow make me successful. And then, with that, he said, money is the byproduct in a healthy relationship with success. Absolutely. But I think that we've been, like we're saying here, and like you said, Billy, we've been all, and I don't want to use taught or brought up that it's the opposite. We go the opposite instead. And when you twist that mindset, and that's a lot with what I'm learning with the programs that I'm doing and the books that we're reading, is we have to retrain our brain about money. I think it's, and you said it's the conversation, normalizing the conversation, and then retraining what it can do and what it can bring, in the sense of not, like what Anthony is saying. What do you, right? I mean, you think that?
I agree. I mean, I think, I think if your basic needs are met and you're super happy with where your life is at, you're happy with your, for me, it's not just about money. It's about family. It's about fitness, my health, my faith, my, and my finances, right? I could have all the money in the world, but if I'm lacking in the other areas, right, my life's going to suck, right? My family life's going to suck, right? My fitness, I'm not going to be able to enjoy my money because I'm going to die too soon because I'm obese, right? But like, if you're super happy and content with your life, like, do you, at the end of the day, do you, right? Like, there are some people that are super happy with that. They make $50,000, $60,000 a year. They have a great family life. They go on vacations. That they love what they do, right? They're super passionate about it. Then do that. That's fine. But for some of us, right, the more success that we have, right, especially I think in an entrepreneurial setting, like if you work for somebody else, like just because you have more success doesn't necessarily always you get more money, right? Mm-hmm. You get whatever your salary is or whatnot. But like in an entrepreneurial, self-employed type of person, right, the more generally, like you were saying, the more success that you have, because money is a byproduct of success, right? If gets lots of clients, you sell a lot of stuff, whatever you do, you're generally going to have more money at the end of the day.
Yeah, the flow, like that's what, and I've been thinking about that lately too. That I have had some opportunities come recently that people are that are coming to me. So I think that when you focus on yourself and trying to be that successful, hey, millennials with their emojis, right?
I was gonna say, here we are.
So millennial. But I think that there's opportunities that have come to me because I have that energy. I have that drive. I am, I'm doing what I want to do for myself, for my business, like just pushing and working hard, and it's coming in return. People are seeing that, they're saying, hey, I want to be a part of that. I want to get on that train. Like, and we were just doing one of the calls last night about who's driving the car, like who's driving this car? Are you driving it? Is somebody else? And we were talking about different things is you want people that want to jump in that car and go on for the drive, and that's what's happening right now. Is I'm having some opportunities come to me with money, and because of my value, I think people are seeing that, and I think that's the other idea is the value. And here we go. Okay. Well, I was just saying, money can be a feedback to, the value you're putting. Oh, that's exactly what I was saying. See, reading minds. Thank you, Anthony. But it is absolutely, has to do with that value. And I think that if there are also aspects of valuing yourself when it comes to money, and your worth and what you do. And that's, I'm kind of in a situation right now with that. And it's not being valued, and you just say, hey, move on. But it comes down to money. It's pay. It's paycheck. It's income. Look, you said every aspect of things that we're talking about. But I wanted to go into something. I just want to, and we can move on to whatever topic you were up next. Brandon said something too. I'm not sure if we shared his comment about not talking and comparing spouses' incomes. Everyone's on their journey, and everyone else's success or failure should not impact our own. And I wanted to actually highlight that because I've been in a couple conversations lately, like I said, about maybe the wife's working, not working, and feels about having to ask for permission or spending. But there's other situations where women make more money, and I think that it puts men in a position. Billy is floating here with a couple dots. I'm not sure what's going on with you there, Billy?
Yeah, I'm here.
You were floating dots.
I know.
But no, I was saying that I would like to talk about this because for me, in my position, I have, and I don't want to use the word it's intimidating, but I've always wanted to be, a bit an entrepreneur, businesswoman, feel this idea of being successful. And again, it was falsely because of money. But even where I'm at now, like it can be intimidating a little bit if a female makes in the relationship and or just in general makes more than a man. So I think that there's, and that's more of a male-female relationship. I think obviously we have, I'm speaking more of a generalizations, but yeah, there's something there that I think Brandon's absolutely right that that it's not something about comparing, because then that affects the relationship of who makes more. And I think that it also caters to what else you're providing in the relationship, and if there's kids involved and all that. But absolutely, I think it's something that you want to talk about in a healthy way, but not, you're a team. Keep it that you're the team.
Yeah, no, and that's, I mean, I say that all the time, like, and especially like, in my relationship, Megan has her doctorate. She makes more money than I do, at this point. I'm also started my own business and stuff like that. So yeah, she's good. She's definitely going to make more money than me. But I came to terms with that a long time ago, and I never saw that as I was like, especially with my mindset with money, is like, oh, we're going to run out of money. Like, I don't care where it's coming from. Like, we just need to have more coming in than it's going out. Right. It doesn't matter when you're a team.
Some people do. I think it does to some people, and I've seen it in relationships.
It's crazy.
Where you could be in that situation, and you could be insecure, and you could be angry, and you could be jealous, and you could be, and maybe not even if you are, you're not probably the person that would even be able to vocalize it and communicate about it. Typically, that's kind of goes hand in hand. But I think that then that's where we see a lot of issues with relationships, and we've all been there, and we've seen it with our parents and stuff too, that there's it's that negative feeling about money, and it's like, it's okay, the stigmas, and you said normalizing talking about it, because there's been so many things that are right and wrong, or normal and not normal, or that I think, yeah, I absolutely think I don't know. I mean, I know where I'm at, where I've got there on my own. I mean, I've been helped along the way in a sense, but I've done it on my own, and I want to be able to bring that into a relationship, and I want somebody to contribute. I don't say that it needs to be equal or more, but I mean, I just think that having that same drive, it's not necessarily the amount, but having that same drive and having the same goal.
That's the yellow coming out in you.
So no, it's funny. You better make a lot more money. No, I'm kidding. Future husband.
Obviously single. No, I'm joking.
Stop it. I'm working on myself right now. Okay?
Yeah, and money is one of those things that we all need to work on, and just that mindset behind it. Because, I mean, I don't think, and I guess I'm a different mind frame than most males. I think that that's a definite male thing when we talk about, who makes more money. I think that's like
societal. Yes, I think absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to say. Society wise, absolutely.
And so I know males have a hard time. They're like, oh, I'm supposed to be the breadwinner.
Provider.
I'm supposed to be the provider, right? And stuff like that. It's like, no, like you guys are both providing for your life. Like that's what I try to tell people is like, no, you're a team, right? You do this together.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think, again, society, and I'm saying this, like most of this is like a heterosexual, like man, female, because of, I mean, we're living in a different world, obviously, now that we can't really make I don't make only these generalizations or things, but I think that looking back into history and where things, where we've come, that also there's something about, and there's still women out there in a sense, and again, there's men too, but that are looking to find somebody that they don't have to work, that will pay for them, and that will provide for them. And that's okay too. I mean, I have some friends that are looking for it. But what do they say? The first time I married for love, the second time I'm married for money. Is that what the joke is?
I had someone I used to work with that was that said that. He's like, my first wife I married for love. Look how that got me. I married my second wife for money, and we've been married for like 20 years.
Yeah, it's funny. Hey, I mean, I think that definitely, I would like to have someone provide for me. Yeah, I mean, I think, but for some reason, I just looked, and again, maybe a single mom. I mean, I've always, thanked and appreciated my mom for the things that she did. Was my Girl Scout troop leader and soccer coach, and was, involved in PTO, and that's how I think I got my involvement. Passion for being servant leadership and different leadership skills. Absolutely. But I also think that it's that drive of take care of yourself. It was ingrained, don't rely on anybody, don't rely on a man. And I think that is why I have that drive now. And it's not like an obsession, but maybe it's become, on top of many other things, of perfectionism and all that. But yeah, I think that I still would like it. I'm not going to give up on my dreams and my goals. But I think that there could be a good combination. I know I was talking over your, here I go, talking all the time over your poor Brandon's comment.
No, it was funny.
I couldn't take a breath.
It was funny. I was reading last night my book on the colors, right, of yellow, red. I'm surrounded by idiots, and it was like it got to the section of the book like how to give constructive criticism to a yellow, right? And obviously, me and you are both yellows, right? And we talk a lot, and so the example they gave was they were trying to tell their friend who's the brightest yellow ever that they talk too much, and the person got so upset because they're like, I don't talk too much. And they're like, no, bro, you talk way too much.
We said that last week, and I admitted to it. I'm not in denial. I have never been in denial. Okay. It was just more of the way that it was a put down, and I was, made fun of. I accepted it. I embraced it. That's what I did.
Yes. I mean,
there is no denial here.
No. But Brandon was just kind of reiterating, I'll pop it up. And he just talks about, I remember growing up, if you were a man, you didn't make a certain amount of income compared to the other members of your family, you were definitely looked down upon, basically. It's ingrained in our culture. I don't even think it's necessarily like an American thing. I think it's just a global thing, right? I feel like most males are put in that situation, and there's so much pressure that if you aren't the breadwinner, that there's something inherently wrong with you, right? How dare you not provide for for your wife or your family, right? Like, it's like, no, like, we physically cannot survive off of one income unless the other person's making like millions of dollars a year, right? You can't do it. It's just like, I see couples that do it now and I'm in awe because I'm like, how are you guys doing that? Like that, like with everything that's an expense in this world, like how do you manage that? And then they have kids. It's just crazy.
Right. Well, and I think it goes back to the idea that Anthony was saying too about the value, because I think that you can get into, get tricky when one person is only the provider. I haven't been there, but I know people that have. But I also feel it's that somebody who could be making a lot of money and hold it against the other person, like hold it over them or make them feel bad or control. So there's aspects that
money is control.
It carries, unless you have that really, really good, relationship with each other and the value of what the other person brings. If it's not money, what, they're bringing absolutely something to the relationship, romantically, emotionally, mentally, with parenting, taking care of a house, like whatever that is. If somebody values that, and they're respected and it's an equal, appreciation and I think that's great and that works. It's not always like that. And I think that there's aspects of that's why sometimes it's better to kind of do your thing, even if it is just a part-time job. There's women out there that I know that don't have to work and they go out and they have a part-time job and it's like that, oh, this is my money. I can spend my money and I'm helping, I'm providing, I'm whatever it is, even though they don't have to. There is something to be said because that's like an internal relationship with their money and the person that they're with is just showing them that they're not completely taking. And there's nothing right or wrong. I think, if I met somebody that was multi-million, hey, I'd
listen, if
I'd go walk dogs. I'd be like, hey.
If Megan started making millions of dollars tomorrow, like I would still continue to do what I'm doing, but still, like I probably would do a lot less of it, right?
Well, it's not. And the other thing is, we talked about this at the very beginning. It is not guaranteed, and that's the other thing is you can't rely on, you can't really rely on anybody. We've known this. I've been talking to my counselor, certain things. We are not foolproof. None of us are foolproof. You could be in the most committed, trusting, respectful, loving, kind relationship, and poof, we wake up tomorrow and they cheated, or they're lying, or they're living.
Well, they're not here. Like they're physically not here. Like that could happen too. Like,
I'm just saying, like, not like in a negative way. Yeah, absolutely. They're health. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Health issue, or they are in an accident. Yeah. I mean, I think that there is a lot that people do rely on other people. And I'm glad that in a sense, I've had that feeling. I think that I, though my relationship with it kept me on this path for the wrong reasons that then I could, I don't know. I mean, I was still then relying on somebody, even though I kept saying, I don't want to rely on somebody and I want to do my own thing and I want to, this, yet I really wasn't, because of the truth, just being really honest about it. And I had debt and I was, doing this and stuff. So I think, absolutely.
And I mean, Anthony brought up, like I was saying earlier before, I wasn't saying like that was indicative. Like I was trying to make that like a situation where it was like a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, in this day and age, I am thoroughly impressed if a family can make it on, especially with like you, Anthony, with 3 kids, that makes, it's all on your income. I think that's super impressive if you can do that, because the cost of living is astronomically high. And that's why even families that do have 2 jobs, right? Husband and wife works, a lot of the times they have to get a 3rd job, right? Like just to have some extra spending money, just because they're so, strapped for cash. Because I talk about it sometimes is like, when not only do we, compare, maybe sometimes compare ourselves to our spouse, but we compare ourselves to other people, and then we got to
absolutely
we have to pay for the things to impress the people that we don't even know or don't even like.
You're like not even living for yourself or your own family, right? For your own family or your relationship. It's like
you're living for the gram,
people.
right?
For the gram. Well, and I think that Anthony makes a good point too, that is about like, we get to a certain point sometimes, like we have to do what we have to do. Like I ended up learning too, that like what you really only need to live off of, what you don't really need, because the money wasn't there for me to have all of the nice things and the fancy things and going out to eat and buying and spending. And what's funny is that, just when you start making that and you do have more, you don't need all the shit either. You realize too, like what you need and what you don't need. And it's nice to have certain things, but I also think that at the same time, they say, mo money, mo problems. There are times where, when you do have more, some people feel that they need to, they can spend it, they can buy more, and then they don't know what to do with it.
Brandon,
it's a hard problem to have, right? You don't need.
You mean I don't need 3 Starbucks drinks a day? No, Brandon, you don't need that much caffeine. You don't need that much caffeine. I can't knock it.
I went to the Cornerstone and got a little iced coffee today too.
But you don't need that much caffeine in your life.
I don't need any Listen, you think I need any caffeine? People think I'm on drugs all the time, and I'm like, I don't do drugs. I've never done that. I don't need
thanks,
that.
Anthony.
Everything's a spot on today. Yeah. Well, I think we both have had, and this is where I think it is, we both have had experiences as children, things that we've wanted to do, not wanted to do. We've had experiences in relationships, and we are just okay to talk about it. I think we're trying to do what we're saying. We're doing what we're trying to say it needs to be done more. And I think in conversation, especially, in relationships, absolutely, it needs to be, how much caffeine you need. It's a topic for another podcast.
And then Brandon, I can't see what his meme was, but he posted a meme of some coffee meme. So I'm sure it's pretty funny. So
yes, but I think I think that everyone's situation is different, and I think that being secure and being like satisfied in a sense of where you're at and the things that you are is what we all are looking for. It's just needing to do that internally. There's certain things I feel like, that money can't buy. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Oh wait, I have something that, what I do have? Let me just share this real quick, because I was going through some donations that I'm making, and I just want to show you because it's very relevant. Hold on one second.
No, that's all good. Yeah. So what was Brandon saying?
Okay. All right. So I want to share this just because of our topic, and then you can get onto your Millennial meme. I almost also knocked down my ring light onto my computer because of all that caffeine that we were talking about. I was jumping around. So it says things money can't buy. And I actually made this several years ago. Usually when I have an experience in my life, I create some type of art print. And when I had my retail shop, I sold a bunch of them, or I use them as donations. But more than likely, this is because of some type of experience that I needed to create. So this is what it says: things money can't buy: manners, morals, respect, character, common sense, trust, patience, class, integrity, and love. So lots of things. That one.
Yeah.
I'll have to say, I'll give you one of these.
Yeah, all those hit home. Those are good ones. I like that, especially character. That's a good one that you just are born with. Right, you just gotta develop that. So, but yes, it is that time of the show. Where we get done a little bit of our yelling, right? Where we take a couple moments, and since we are MillenniYells, right, we like memes. That's just what we do. We're a meme type of podcast, and so it's time. We actually missed last week because we weren't on. So it is that time for the Millennial meme of the week.
Oh, it got really deep instead of the Millennial meme.
Yeah. So it was my turn, right? So I had to find one that was, and I follow a lot. Surprise! I follow a lot of finance people on social media, right? Just because of what I do. But I thought this one was really funny. So we'll pop it up. So it's a picture of Will Smith. I can't remember the name of the movie, but he's like almost crying, like in a daze. And it says, when a thief breaks into your house looking for money, it's him saying, "I'll look with you."
I love that.
So I thought
that movie is where he was selling the computers and he was trying to make all this money for his kid, and his real kid was in the movie. And I just Googled it. It was The Pursuit of Happiness.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Which is really funny because, again, it was about, money. But I love that meme. Put that back up. I want to see that because it was so cute. Your thief breaks in your house looking for money. I'll look with you. I love it. Help me, please. Please.
If you find some, like, just leave me a little bit, right?
So funny. And Brandon, I will let you know that I did used to sell them. He said that I should print them out on vinyl and sell my quotes. And I used to sell them in my shop, I told you. So I do have it. I have it packaged right here, everything ready to go. I just got to get that online store up there.
Yeah. It is based off a true story, and it's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it,
it was really good.
It's probably one of my top Will Smith movies, but a top movie in general. So, but it is that other time of the show and Mel's been storing up for 2 weeks, guys. Like, she's been ready for this. She told me, don't let her lie to you. She's been waiting all week for this because it's Mel's moment.
Mel's moment. He's lying. I come up with this pretty much on the spot.
Yes, you do.
Unless I'm fired up about something and I really need to let you know.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So go ahead, Mel. Take it away because it's your moment.
Oh, thank you. So I'm just looking around my room, which is funny. And I was looking at my vision board, which, I did put on there, no debt, successful business in 2021. I cut out things from magazines when I did my vision board party. I put a boat on there. I put a trip and all these things that do cost money. And I put $1 million on there because I always, when I'm doing my Grant Cardone things every day, I write down, be a millionaire, be a millionaire, be a millionaire. And it is about money, but I think that it drives me. I think that no matter what it is, the 10, there you go. That was Billy's birthday present. But I think that that for me, it is more about the drive to get the shit done that I've been talking about for years. And that drive to have those things. If I shoot for $1 million and get to 500,000, hey, you know what? I'm happy. It's just the drive and the goals. And it's not about the money to me. It's about the like we said, the financial freedom and not having the stresses. And there's absolutely things that I want to do with myself and for my business. And no matter what that is for anybody, it could be anything. I do want to, there are goals that I want to do to help people and create, things with nonprofits and all that. So I think that for no matter what the reason is and the drive behind it, make it positive, make it something that it's for you, for your family, for helping other people. And if it is, like you said, good intentions, which, I always try to leave good intentions, continue that and it will come, and work hard, and just do good, work hard. And, I think that things will absolutely come, and make those vision boards. And that's okay to say, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. And you can say it and you can think it and you can feel it and you can believe it, but for the reasons that, are good. Right?
There you go.
Money. Money.
Sometimes you just let Mel go, right? You just let her go and she'll provide us with some good advice. So we appreciate it. But anyways, guys, we really do appreciate everyone that jumped on, commented, hung out with us. We felt like this was a really interesting topic. So, and we're just glad we were able to share some value with you guys, right? But anyways, make sure you catch us every Friday, 12 o'clock, lunchtime, right? And just
unless not last Friday.
Yeah, unless it's not, if you came last Friday, you did not see anything. But that's what happens when you're self-employed, right? Sometimes life gets in the way. So, but we'll definitely, I won't say definitely, we'll be your next Friday. We'll be here. We'll be here for you guys. So, but anyways, enjoy your weekend. It is beautiful outside. And that's what I'm about to go do is go outside. So make sure you make some good memories with your family, your friends. You know, we're able to not, you know, we don't have to be in our house anymore, right? We can be out and about with people. So go out, enjoy life, make some good memories, and we will see you guys next Friday. So have a good one.
Bye.